Thank you, everybody. Wow, how are you? Thank you very much. Great honor. Please sit down. We'll have a little fun. It's going to be an interesting 4 or 5 days, right? We love South Carolina, though. I know so many people here, and great people, great people. So a big decision is going to be made over the next little while, and we've been doing very well. We did so well up in New Hampshire. We were very proud of it. And you talk about great people. That's another group that was really spectacular. They went out and voted in record numbers, and I won in record numbers. And my whole theme is Make America Great Again. You know, we're going to make America great again. We're going to, in terms of you folks with your ports and everything else that we're talking about, we have to open up trade. We have to open it up really good. But, you know, China puts barriers on trade. A lot of people don't even know that. They have no clue. One of the things that, and we'll talk about that, we're going to do a few questions later on at the end, toward the end, so you can ask some questions about that. But one of the things I thought I'd tell you is my little foray into politics, because as you know, I'm self-funding. I'm not taking any money from anybody, and other than the small little donations, which don't amount to a lot. But I've turned down many millions of dollars, and I feel guilty, frankly, doing it. You know, I see all these young people, and I don't want to tell you to do that in your lives. Don't do that. But at a certain point, you're able to do it, and therefore people don't, you know, they can't tell you what to do. They can't say, vote against the electric bill, vote against this bill, vote for a lumber bill, vote for whatever it may be. But when you look at guys like Ted Cruz, he's taken so much money from so many different people. I mean, he's totally controlled 100% by different industries, like Big League. Bush, the same thing. Rubio, the same thing. That's where they get their money. And they will be totally controlled, and there's not a damn thing you're going to be able to do about it, and you'll never understand it. You'll never know it. But I understand it, I guess, better than anybody. Don't forget, I've been on the other side for most of my life. And on June 16th, I announced I was going to run for president, so I became non-establishment very quickly, believe me, very quickly. But I thought I'd tell you a few things, because I've been in a business where, you know, it's pretty sharp. You meet sharp people. I don't mean sharp like sharp, although they're that also. But you meet people that really go to the edge. But I've never met people like politicians. They are the most dishonest people I've ever met. And no, really. I mean, really. And I think, I mean, Jeb is just Jeb. But this guy, Ted Cruz, is the most dishonest guy I think I've ever met in politics. He will say, like, for instance, many of you have heard my speeches. You see them on television. My whole thing is, we will repeal and replace Obamacare. So he comes out today and says, Donald Trump loves Obamacare. Now, what am I going to do about it? I'm going to say, we got 4 days left. So he says, Donald Trump, he took an ad. Somebody just said he's putting up an ad that I'm pro-choice. No, I'm not. I'm pro-life. But he took an ad. Donald Trump is pro. Well, but, so now you say, now how do you, because Fox just reported, well, Cruz said he's pro this and he's pro that, and everything's the opposite. Now, nobody's stronger in the Second Amendment. You've heard me talking about California. You've heard me talking about how if Paris would have the strongest gun laws in the world, if they had guns on the other side with the bullets flowing the other way. Most of you have heard a lot of the things I say. I say it constantly. I am the strongest person for the Second Amendment, the strongest of the group, okay? But Cruz just said, he said, I think he's an unstable person. I really do. He just said, Donald Trump does not like the Second Amendment. I said, the Second Amendment is my whole thing. And I have more support from the police. Even now, today, I get greeted by the police, and they really love Trump because I'm the strongest for the police. And, you know, so the Second Amendment to me is very important. So this guy comes out and says, I don't like the Second Amendment. He says, pro-choice. So you really have to understand, we have to get the word out, because what they do is they lie, and then they apologize, like he did to Carson. What he did to Ben Carson in Iowa was a disgrace. Affected me, too, because he got those votes. If I would have gotten those votes, I could have won. Probably would have won. But he did a couple of things. He did voter violation forms. Did you see that? Voter violation. And it looks like it's coming from the Internal Revenue Service. Such an official. And it said, you are in violation, Essentially, if you vote for Cruz, you'll be okay. And I said, man, that's a fraud. And nobody even mentioned that. What he did to Ben Carson was despicable. He said he was out of the race. He was quitting. Vote for, you know, they took, you know, because this caucus system is not the greatest, in my opinion, in all fairness. Caucus system is, I don't think it's great. But what they do is they take them, they say, Ben Carson is out of the race. Please come with us. You can vote for Ted Cruz. They have people bringing him over there. Because, in caucus, you sit around for a while, you talk. And thousands of people were convinced. In fact, they said on Bill O'Reilly that if 3 or 4 people from each precinct would have been convinced to go that way, then Trump, would have won the election. I would have won in Iowa. Not that I came in second. I got almost the same number of delegates. Not a big thing. But it's a defraud. But I have to tell you, of all the politicians I've met, even Rubio, who has his own issues, but even Rubio, the other night in the debate, he said the guy's a liar. I've never heard a politician call another politician directly a liar. Now, I'm sure it happens. But Rubio is sort of, he's a calm sort of a guy, especially when he's under pressure. Then he gets real calm. But he actually called, he understood that. This guy right there. But he actually called Ted Cruz a liar. He is a liar. So what happened, I just get out of the car, and Fox said that Ted Cruz said all of these, they're exactly opposite. Now, here's what happens. He apologized to Carson after the event. What good does it do? Carson said, yeah, but I lost all those votes. And he apologized to him after the event. Should have apologized to me also, because, frankly, it would have won, but it doesn't matter. But he apologized. He said, I'd like to apologize to you, Ben. The election's over. Now, what they should do, if Iowa had any guts, the people from the Republican Party, which they don't, they should disqualify him from winning Iowa. I really mean it. Because what he did was a fraud. So they should disqualify him from winning Iowa. So I just want to tell you I'm pro-life. I just want to tell you I'm the strongest person on the stage for the Second Amendment. Other things, I guess he's going to say, just take whatever I say and just sort of go in reverse because... So his whole deal is he will lie. And by the way, these are lies. He will lie. And after the lie takes place and after the election's over, he'll apologize. Oh, thanks. Oh, that's so nice. Maybe you'll write a letter because I don't think you have the guts to apologize to my face. So that's the story. So I just want to tell you, I've never seen anything like it. So very strong on Second Amendment. One thing with Ted Cruz, I'll say, during the previous debate, they talked about waterboarding. And he couldn't answer the question. He was fumbling and mumbling and stumbling. And he couldn't answer because he was afraid of because he thought waterboarding was tough. And he didn't know how to answer the question. You can see it. You can get a transcript or see it. You have to see it to really understand it. Then they went to me and they said, what do you think? I said, I think waterboarding is not tough enough. I'd go a step beyond waterboarding. Okay? I gave a very fast answer. So Ted is very weak on immigration. He's extremely weak on illegal immigration. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't even be talking about illegal immigration now, just so you understand. You wouldn't even be talking about it. And the reason I go on and tell you about this, because who the hell wants to take $2 million worth of commercials when I have enough cameras back there that can get the word around? Will you please get the word around? For $2 million, I can probably almost get the word out. But it's always tough to fight a guy when he just goes and says whatever he wants to say. But he's very weak on illegal immigration, very, very weak. He was an amnesty guy, 100%. He said it. I mean, he was an amnesty guy. But he's probably, in a certain way, the weakest on illegal immigration, although I would save that for Jeb Bush, who I don't think is going to do very well, even though his brother's coming into town, which is, of course, lovely. You ever ask yourself why his brother went silent for all these years? No, don't ask yourself that. But his brother's coming in, and it's nice. I mean, frankly, I think he should have used his family a long time ago. I think he would have done better. I told him, I said, why don't you use the last name? You'll do better. Believe me, it's better than a hyphen. It's better than exclamation points. So I just want to say that when it comes to the other candidates, we will do a job. I'm not influenced at all by anything having to do with money. When I have to tell Ford, you got to move back. We're not going to let you do this. When they build a $2.5 billion plant, no special interest group, and believe me, I know most of them. They're great. They do a great job. Donald, we'd like $1 million for a month, and we think we can convince them to do what you want to do. These guys are fantastic, but no good, no good, no good for the country. I'm working for you. I'm not working for any of these people, and we have to do that. We have to do that. I actually said something because I've turned down tens of millions. Jeb raised 148 million. Rubio raised many. And take a look at who some of Rubio's donors are, by the way. Take a look at Ted Cruz's donors. I mean, that's a who's who. You take a look at the issues. You take a look at, as an example, the gay marriage issue, and then take a look at who his donors are. Ted Cruz, go ahead, do it. You know, he talks about it. Take a look at what he said about gay marriage when he was in the law offices in Manhattan, and what he said under a microphone when he didn't know the microphone was working, or somebody had their cell phone on. You take a look at what he said. Well, they're politicians. That's what they are. They're politicians. But I never realized, because I've always known politicians are, you know, not so hot. But when you see it from this side, and I've heard complaints about this over the years, but I've never seen one like Ted Cruz. I've heard complaints about this over the years, you know, that they're extremely dishonest. They'll say anything. But I've never seen it this way. I would say that we have a couple of others, but they're really not in the same category, real liar. And then the worst is holding up a Bible all the time, talking about how you're willing to lie about anything, and then you hold up a Bible. It's no good. To me, it's no good, you know. And I think that's why I'm doing better with evangelicals than he is. Nationwide, I'm leading with evangelicals. As you know, I'm Christian. I'm Protestant. I'm Presbyterian, to be exact. And I will tell you, Christianity is being chopped away at. Chop, chop, chop. And some of the things I've said, you know, about Muslims, and we have to find out what's going on, and we do. We have to find out what's going on. You know, the hatred, the level of hatred is incredible. And we have to do that. If I said it about Christians, probably there'd be no problem. You know, people would say, because for some reason, and I think I know the reason, because they basically took you, you know, they're willing to take your tax exemption and tax status away from you if you talk. That happened during Lyndon Johnson's reign. And I would put that back so fast because I have so many great friends. Jerry Falwell Jr. is a friend of mine, and he's a great guy, and he endorsed me. And I said to him, you know, Jerry, he's Liberty University. He's an amazing guy. In fact, I think he's coming here to campaign for me. But an amazing guy. The job they've done with Liberty University is incredible. And I said to him, you know, what do you think it is? Because, and I said to a lot of them, I have so many ministers that are endorsing me and so many friends and pastors. And they're all afraid to get too involved because they don't want to lose their tax exemption. I said, then you really have, although these people love me so much, they don't care. I mean, they're at a point where they just want to have this happen. But, you know, it really is it's a very serious problem because they're so afraid to talk. I'm saying, you know, if you think about it, you have the most powerful lobby, you have the biggest lobby in the United States, bigger than women, bigger than men, right? Because like 250 million Christians, okay? So that's more than we have in women, more than we have in men. But they're afraid to talk because if they talk, their tax exemption is going to be taken away, which would be devastating. They have to close up their church. I mean, it would be devastating, right? So they're afraid. Now, some do it anyway, and all the ones with me do it. They don't. I mean, they're at a point where they don't care. But we're going to get rid of that. I don't know. That was put in to knock down. Yeah, and I don't think anybody, I'll bet you nobody has even brought that up. But I see it because that's what I do. I see things. As a business person, I see things. And I see that the power, and I said to a number of them, I said to Franklin Graham, who's a great guy, by the way, I said to Jerry, I said to many of them, I said, you know, you have the most people, but you have the least effective lobby. And that's when I started finding out what's going on, because these are very strong people. These are great speakers. These are great inspirational people, and they're afraid to get involved politically. I said, so that would mean that if you're Christian, you're a pastor, you have less power than anybody that you see right off the street. That's pretty bad because, you know, you have to protect your religion because you look at whether it's Muslims or other religions, I mean, they're being protected, very protected. I mean, what they're doing is forget it. So I think it's very important from the Christian standpoint that we knock out that tax-exempt horror show that has taken a lot of their power away. And we have to give the power back to Christianity. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. And we are going to do that. That's going to be one of the things. We're going to say two things. We're going to say Merry Christmas at Christmas, and it's going to be up, because you can't say it anymore. You can't say it. And the other thing, we're going to work on getting rid of that, and I think we're going to be able to do that easily. I mean, with the power, I mean, I'll get, that one's one I get, that's so easy to get. Think of it. I go to the other politicians in Congress, I say, folks, we got 250 million people, they're all voting against if you don't do it. We'll get that done. But I think it's I think it's very important. So with the Cruz thing, I just wanted to tell you, he's a really bad liar, and it's something I hope you are going to watch out for. And I hope I can get the word out in the press, because if you do, I save about $2 million in advertisements, okay? I don't want to do a follow-up. Actually, his ad, I don't want to do follow-up ads for $2 million. Actually, his ad, don't forget, I'm putting up my own money, right? So when they put up money, it's not their money, they don't care. They don't care. They have, funds like 150 million, 143 million. Hillary Clinton has like 100 and some odd million. They just put up money like it's water. With me, it doesn't matter, except I'm still psychologically, I like to watch my costs. Does that make sense, right? Yeah, it's sort of important to me. That's, the sign of a businessman. And I'll give you an example of something that I found recently that is amazing. And also relating to candidates, the drug companies. A friend of mine, a doctor, he's a member of one of my big projects and clubs, comes in, sees me, he goes, Donald, the United States government doesn't negotiate the cost of drugs. I said, what are you talking about? He said, they don't negotiate. They pay the same as almost as if you buy it right off the pharmacy counter. These are prescription drugs and other drugs that make you better. Okay, these are drugs that make you better as opposed to drugs like Mexico sends in all the time, right? So he said, they don't negotiate. I said, you must be kidding. So I checked it, and about 10 minutes later, I said, yeah, it's amazing. They don't negotiate. They don't have to negotiate. There's some kind of a prohibition, and they don't negotiate. If we negotiated, this country would save $300 billion a year. Think of it. Now, think of it. Now, when Cruz and when all these guys are supported by the drug industry, there's no way you're ever going to, if they get in, there's zero chance they're going to change it. If I get in, this is just common sense, because many of you are business people. A lot of you are so young where you will be business people. Good ones, I think. That's why they're here. They have the natural gene. I can see that. But think of it. So you go and you try and negotiate, and Woody Johnson of Johnson & Johnson, who, by the way, happens to be the chairman of Jeb Bush's campaign, his fundraising, are you going to say, Woody, we're going to put the drugs out to bid? Not going to happen. And I don't even blame Jeb for that. I mean, it just doesn't happen. Psychologically, you can't do that. With me, doesn't matter. With me, I'm going to do the right thing. There are so many things like that. I'll tell you, we have that in the military, too. In the military, we buy equipment that we don't want because some of the suppliers are politically astute and connected, and some that make better equipment aren't. And I see it all the time where generals have accepted an order of planes, but they really wanted another one. It's not going to happen anymore. The other one's better, and it's less expensive. A couple of minor details, like it's better and it's less expensive. Other than that, it's wonderful. But I see it. I've been seeing that for years, where they buy equipment that they really don't want. It's politics. And I said to my friend, the doctor, he said, how is that possible? I said, oh, that's easy. All these guys, all these people that I'm running against, every one of them has big funds, everyone. And all of the funds. And you saw it the other night during the debate. I did well in the debate. A lot of people said I won that debate. But when I walked in, it was like my wife was clapping, my kids were clapping. But the whole room was made up of special interests and donors, which is a disgrace from the RNC. The RNC better get its act together. Because, I signed a pledge. But the pledge isn't being honored by them. I signed a pledge. The pledge isn't being honored by the RNC. Because those tickets were all special interest people. And I know them. I'm looking in the audience. Some of them are friends of mine, and yet they're booing me because they're having fun. The guy's booing me, and he's laughing, and he's waving. And he's going, boo, boo, and he's waving at me. I'm saying, this is crazy. But I know many of those people, lobbyists and special interests. And take a look. I mean, that was a wealthy room. Now, it started with young kids, in the college case, the one previous, because it was the same thing, although the last one was even worse. But what happened is some of the college kids sold their tickets to the special interests for good money. They made a couple of bucks. I don't blame them. But the RNC does a terrible job, a terrible job. And just remember what I said. Remember in this room. I signed a pledge, but it's a double-edged pledge. And as far as I'm concerned, they're in default of their pledge when they do that. So I walk on, and people say, I think I made the best points, and I'd make a point, and I walked in, I gave two great judges. Oh, that was another thing Cruz just said. Donald Trump is going to appoint liberal judges. Liberal judges. I mean, in fact, Keith just said that. He said, it just came over Fox, that Cruz said that Donald Trump will appoint liberal judges. Now we got 3-4 days to go. How do you fight that? It's a total lie. I am going to appoint, in fact, I had mentioned, as you probably saw, I mentioned a couple of names during the debate. And they were very conservative people, highly thought of, and I got actually very good marks for it. But I mentioned some names during the debate of very serious conservative people, judges, highly respected. And, you know, I would think of those two, but I'd think of others. And I will be appointing. But, you know, what do you do when somebody says on television he's going to appoint liberal judges? Now, if I'm watching that, I'm going to say, oh, Trump's going to appoint liberal judges. I'm not going to vote for Trump. We got to be very smart. We got to be very careful. You got a very unstable guy in Cruz. He's nuts. And frankly, I don't want to get an apology on Sunday that, oh, I didn't know this. You know, I didn't know that he didn't know. So anyway, so you have to be very careful. Now, trade for you folks is so vital. China is ripping us off like nobody has ever seen. They are charging tax when we send. We have these politicians that are babies. They have no idea. Or, again, you know, China has lobbyists too. Everyone has lobbyists with us because we're like the big people with the dumb leadership with a lot of money. We're like the pot of cash. We rebuilt China. You ever go to China? The bridges they built, the incredible roadways they have, the trains they have that go 350 miles an hour. Our trains are still the old trains, chug, 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 breaking down all over the place. I mean, you ever see the Chinese trains? They have trains, you wouldn't believe it, in different parts of Asia. But we can't keep going on like this because our politicians are killing us. So on June 16th, I made a decision. I said, I'm going to run. I was with my wife. I said, let's go. Well, you know, we had that famous escalator ride down with Melania, and I said, come on. And I took a deep breath because it's not easy to do that. You know, it takes guts to run for president. Let me tell you. I've always heard that if you're a very successful person, it takes a lot of guts. I mean, it's something you just don't do. I've always heard you just don't do it. And I can see it because these politicians are such liars. I mean, they just say whatever they want to say. I can see it. Now I see it, really see it. You know, it's funny, in New Hampshire, they left it alone a little bit because they figured, well, maybe this can't be happening because nothing like this has ever happened. Tell you what, we have a movement going on. In Tampa the other day, we had 15,000 people. We had to send away 5. We had 20,000 people. And the place was incredible. Same thing everywhere we've gone. No matter where we go, Dallas, we have packed houses, and I mean stadiums. This is just a group of local, wonderful businessmen, Republicans, but with a wonderful leader. Where's our leader? Here, look at that guy, handsome guy. You do have a good leader. But we've got a movement going on here that's special, and we want to get there. And I tell you what, South Carolina is going to be so important because if we win South Carolina, we're going to run the table. I said last week, I said if we win New Hampshire, we're then going to go to South Carolina, and I think we're going to win because we're, you know, pretty high up in the polls, but you never trust them. And you don't know what's going to happen because there's such shenanigans with these politicians. But if we win South Carolina, we're going to run the table, and we're going to make America great again. We're going to make great deals now. We're going to make deals where China right now is making they have a trade deficit, $500 billion a year. Think of it. $500 billion. It's 505 to be exact. That's our deficit with China. What kind of a thing is this? You can't have a country like that. Then we have the border. We have the border. And by the way, Japan is smaller numbers, but, you know, the same thing. Just unlimited money. You almost say, how did we do this for so many years? You know, how do we keep losing on every deal? Vietnam is a new one. Mexico's a disaster. Mexico's a disaster. Mexico is the new China. We'll be smaller, but it's a new China. They're taking so many businesses. Carrier just announced they're moving to Mexico. You saw that. 1,400 people. And it was sad. Somebody was taking probably a phone video, you know, one of the employees, and everybody was crying and upset. They announced, sorry, we're moving. They're going to move some air conditioners. They're going to make them in Mexico and sell them here. What do we get out of it? So I said, you know, because I'm a businessman, I have a natural business. Somebody said, oh, that's bad for free trade. Well, let me tell you something. What I would do, very simple. You're going to do that? That's fine. Go to Mexico, enjoy yourself. But when you sell your product, you're going to pay a tax coming across the border. You're not going to, because that's it. That's it. Now, some stupid people, like some of the people we're running against, will say, oh, he's not a free trader. I'm a free trader. It's got to be fair. It's got to be fair. I do believe in free trade. But with China, it's the same thing. I mean, they sell their stuff, no tax, nobody even talks about it. I have friends that manufacture stuff. They can't get anything into China. It's impossible. They say, when we do, we have to pay a massive tax. I had a guy from China bought an airplane. He couldn't get it back in because the tax was so great, made here. Couldn't get the airplane back in because the tax was so high to get it back in that he had to sell it in the United States. He lost a fortune. China is killing us. Japan is killing us. Vietnam, new one, killing us. Every single country practically that we do business is killing us. And the reason they're killing us is that we have political hacks negotiating with the smartest negotiators in the world. China has their smartest people negotiating these deals. We have people that are the best. We have the best. We have the greatest business people in the world in this country. Nobody asked them for advice. Carl Icahn endorsed me. He's a, believe me. If I said, Carl, do me a favor, watch the trade with China. He doesn't want money. You just go to lunch and enjoy yourselves. It'll all work out. But we have the greatest business people in the world. And we don't use them. We use political hacks, people that got their job because they made contributions and people that just want to do it for fun. We're losing a fortune. I mean, we have Carolyn Kennedy negotiating for us in Japan. Carolyn Kennedy. In fact, she doesn't even know how she got the job. She was on 60 Minutes. How did you get the job? Well, I asked for it. What had happened? I just wanted a job. Did you ever see that 60 Minutes? It was a couple of months ago. She said, I just wanted a job. And in Japan, the ambassador to Japan, she's the ambassador to Japan. No, zero experience, believe it or not. I mean, she's Kennedy, but she's got some natural experience, I guess. But zero experience. But she said, no, I asked for a job. And what happened? Well, they said, would you like to be ambassador to Japan? She said, you're kidding. You're kidding, are you? So she couldn't believe it. She got the job. Now she's being wooed and, weaned and wined by Japan. And they're just ripping us. I mean, they are ripping us. You have to see what they're doing over there. You have to go get 60 Minutes on Carolyn. And I like her. You know why? Because my daughter Ivanka likes her, right? Ivanka likes her. So if Ivanka likes her. But I don't care about liking her. I couldn't care less about liking her. So we are going to do things that are great. We are going to make our country great again. We're going to make it rich again. A woman came up. She said, oh, that doesn't sound... I said, look, we owe $19 trillion. The budget deal they signed a couple of weeks ago, was a disaster. They call it the omnibus. That allows all of the migrants to come in. That allows all sorts of illegal immigration. That allows all these things that Obama wants. It's funny. Obama's a terrible, terrible negotiator. The Iran deal's the worst deal I've ever seen negotiated. But he's a great negotiator against the Republicans, isn't it, Joe? Gets everything he wants. So with that, I will just tell you, we'll take some questions, and it's a real honor being here. It's a fantastic group of people, okay? Thank you.
Thank you all so very much. If you would remain seated, and we're going to just do our normal Q&A as we do every month. And please make sure it's a question, not a statement or speech. We will cut you off. So look forward to questions only, please. Thank you. We'll start to our left. Please.
Good afternoon. My name is Julio Avendano, a small business owner here in Charleston.
Good.
Thank you. Honored to be here. Thank you for coming to our lovely town. Sir, what do you plan? I see all these big plans for global positioning. What do you plan for our small businesses here?
Okay. Well, one of the things we have to do for small business, because I have so many friends that are small businessmen, we have to get rid of the regulations. You're getting killed with regulations. You can't breathe with them. And that includes farmers, but you can't breathe with them. And I see it too as having a big company. The regulations are insane. And we're going to get rid of regulations. We're going to open up the banking system. We don't have a banking system because the regulators, all these guys that are making $40 million a year running banks, they're not really running the banks. The people running the banks are the regulators. You ever see, I always get a kick out of it, they pay, the head banker gets $50 million, and they're always settling for $9 billion, $8 billion, $7 billion. When you're getting paid $50 billion and $50 million, right? You're supposed to not settle. You're supposed to win cases and not pay anything. And I say, why do you always settle? You know, one particular bank, every time. And, you know, when you settle, they sue you immediately after that because it's called a sitting duck. When you settle, right, Henry, you know about this stuff. He's a government guy. If they get guys that settle, you get them again, right? Again and again and again till they have no money left, and that's the end of it, right? But, you know, it's true. When you have these settlers, and you'll have a banker makes $30 million, $40 million, $50 million a year, then they'll settle a case for $2.9 billion. In fact, I often wonder when I see all these settlements, where do they get all this money? But they settle a case for billions and billions of dollars. And you'd think when they get that kind of money, they would fight the case, not settle the case. I would fight it. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I don't know. But I would certainly fight the case. We're going to get rid of regulations, big league, and we're going to open up the banking. Because there's such fear in banking about making a bad loan that the only people they'll loan money to is like me. And okay, so here's the thing. If you have a lot of money, they'll give you all the money you want. If you don't have money, they won't give you any money. But the people that have all the money, I don't need loans. The people that have all the money, those are not the people that are going to really create the jobs right now. You know, they're not. You have great people out there that have great ideas, great companies, great everything, going to be good. And there's always risk, but they can't get money, and they would be job producers. So Dodd-Frank, we have to get rid of. Have to get rid of it. And honestly, we have to get rid of the regulators. The regulators are running the banks. The bankers can run the banks. Yes, sir. The health care? Yeah. So what happens with health care is, just so you understand, and we'll make it very strong because, again, another commercial going up that Trump, every single week and every day that I make a speech, I say, we will repeal and replace Obamacare. Okay, so it's going to be gone. Now, we will go with a system of health care savings accounts, which are good, which I think everybody in this room would like. But one of the really important things is we have to get rid of the artificial lines around each state because you don't have bidding. Now, the reason you don't is because, again, the same thing. You have the insurance companies taking care of all the guys that are on the dais with me and on the other side, too, the Democrats, okay, just as much. So what happens is they take care of them, and they would much rather have New York State or, as an example, you know, any place. They'll rather have 100% of a state than have the right to compete all over the nation. They're very satisfied having a monopoly, okay? That's the problem. So we have to get rid of that. They can't get rid of it because the politicians are all taken care of by the insurance companies, all right? We're going to get rid of it. Everybody thought last time they were going to get rid of, you know, it's called the lines around the state. So that if I'm in South Carolina and I want to bid, I've got very little competition because people from North Carolina, people from other places can't come in and bid. So what it means is your costs are very high. What it also means is the insurance companies make a lot of money. They're making a lot of money. There are certain people and certain companies making a lot of money with Obamacare, by the way. The premiums have gone through the roof. It's a disaster. It's going to be repealed, replaced. We're going to get rid of the lines. We're going to have private insurance. It's going to be so beautiful. You're going to have your own plan. You're actually going to have your own plan, your own doctor. How about that one? 28 times he lied about it. I said, can you sue him for fraud? He would get it. You will have your doctor. Will you have your plan? You'll have everything perfect. And then it turned out to be not true. The ones that were most angry about that were the Democrats because some of the, you know, they made it by one vote. And many of those people went only because of that. So he lied, and it was one of those things. Go ahead.
How about anything from our Wando High School students here?
High school. Oh, good.
AP. Oh,
a big issue on the national stage has been Guantanamo Bay.
Right. Got to keep it open.
Right. Locally around here, the federal government even looked into putting those terrorists in the North Charleston area. How are you going to protect us from people in the federal government that want to move these terrorists?
Well, you don't even have to finish the question. We're not, huh?
Our future leader.
Yeah, future leader. We're not closing it. First of all, it's very expensive to close. Amazing. I don't know why they said like $1 billion. Only a government could cost $1 billion to close it, but that's what they're saying. Believe me. If I closed it, $500,000, it's closed, okay? $1 billion to close it. But forget that. It's staying there. You're not going to have to worry about these people coming here. You're not going to have to worry about raids being made by all the migrants we're allowing in. And also, it's, from what I understand, it's right next to a children's park and all sorts of other things. I mean, and we allow all these people coming in from the migration, and some of them could be ISIS, could very well be ISIS, and all of a sudden you'll see 500 people doing a charge. I always say the great Trojan horse, perhaps, and they have that. Look at what's going on in Germany. I mean, are you studying this? This is going to be a revolution over there. What she has done is insane. And look, we all have a heart. You build in Syria a safe zone. I would build it, and I'd get the Gulf states to pay for it. They're not putting up anything. I don't want to use my money. OPM. So anyway, I wouldn't allow. Speaking of that, your Governor Haley, good person, and I know she said she can't stop it. You have the migration. You have people coming into South Carolina, I hear, pretty big league. Believe me, she can stop it. She's the governor of the state, and she can stop it, and she should stop it. Okay? Okay, go ahead. They say, oh, we can't stop it. You're the governor of a state. You can do plenty. Okay, go ahead. They don't have to see the nice thing they can just drive the cars right over the border. Nobody's even going to check them. In fact, they'll use the illegals to drive them. They'll save some money. Yeah, you get nothing from Mexico. You're not getting anything. Yeah, elect me president. I'll change it fast. Believe me. Believe me. It's so easy. That question, you're a businessman. That question is... It's like you're asking a question you don't even believe you're asking because it's so simple, right? It's so simple to change it. How do they get along? The reason that NAFTA, all of this stuff exists is because of these politicians, because they're all taken care of through campaign contributions. I mean, probably other ways too that we don't want to know about, but that's why. Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Trump, I'm the director of our local Veterans Support Network.
Good.
With the drawdown of military to pre-World War II levels, suicides 22 a day. What are some ideas? And also with the $6 million that you raised in New Hampshire,
right?
Do you think that there might be some use for that right now?
Yeah, I'll give you some. I raised, I raised a lot of money during the one debate, which some people said I should go. Other people, actually, the veterans love me, but I've given out millions of dollars already, and the money's coming in. And we raised a lot of money. I'll give you a check. Give me a name. I'll give you a check if you vet out, right? We have to vet the vets, all right? Okay? Yes. Yes, ma'am. How are you?
A little bit closer to home, opiate deaths have increased 118% in Charleston County.
You said opium?
Opiate.
Oh, opium. Okay, okay.
In the last 2 years. It's doubled in Berkeley County in the last 2 years. You want to make America great again. You know that takes making Americans great again
right.
as well. You have a unique opportunity in North Charleston with the properties that you have that could be used for rehabilitation and
right.
addiction recovery. Are you willing to do something?
Well, we're looking at it. We do have a property. It's a pretty good. They say it's a good. You're trying to buy it? Oh, how much? How much?
Let's make a deal. Let's make a deal.
How much? By the way, we have to stop things from coming in. I'm going to build a wall. Nobody else is building a wall. Believe me, the wall works. And it's going to be a real wall. It's not a toy wall. And we're going to stop things from coming in that are coming in. Okay, fine. Yes, ma'am. That's such a great question. We fight wars not to win anymore. We fight these wars. Iraq, we should have never been there. I was against it from the beginning. I'm a very military person. I always say I'm the most militaristic person. I am. And I'm going to build the military stronger, better, bigger. We're going to have a great military. It's the cheapest thing we can do, by the way. I hate to say it. But we should have never been in Iraq. We've destabilized the Middle East. We now have a problem because we've started this wave and the way Obama got out was a disaster. We shouldn't have been in. He shouldn't have gotten out that way. Specific date, not leaving anybody. We are going to get out, but we have to knock the hell out of ISIS. We have to. We have no choice. Boom. Okay? With me, it's going to happen fast. Yes, sir. Well, the ACLU, it's a disaster, I agree. I mean, they talk about people's rights, but what they do is I think they laugh behind, behind closed doors. You got to fight them. You got to fight them. It's a problem, and it's a problem for a lot of businesses, actually. Businesses are having tremendous problems with it. You got to fight them. Just keep fighting them. But it's a mood change. The mood in this country is going to change. You watch. If I get elected, the mood in this country is going to change, where they're going to be very easy to beat. Okay?
Very good.
Yes.
Right here in the far right. It's hard for us to see you. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
I'm a very conservative guy.
Good.
Conservative, I want a smaller government that less in my life.
It's true.
In Iowa, you were extolling the virtues of ethanol, which represents a massive government intrusion.
You're very, very small. Yeah, very small. It's a small industry, but go ahead.
How do you square your support for ethanol with being conservative?
Yeah. Well, I feel very important is with energy, we never want to be in a situation, ever, in my opinion, where we have OPEC dictating terms to us like they have almost from the time you were young and I was older than you, but still young, okay? You never want to be in that position again, and we shouldn't have to be in that position again. And I'm very much for energy. I watched it. I watched it when it was $150 a barrel. And we never want to be, our country has come to a halt. And remember this, we're in the Middle East now largely because of oil, even if we don't need it so much anymore. We got stuck in there because of oil. We never want to be there over the energy. It's a very small number you're talking about, but I understand what you're saying. But energy is so important. It's the blood. It's the blood. We never want to be subject to the rule by OPEC again or the equivalent of OPEC again, and we won't be. So I understand exactly what you're saying. Yes, yes, sir. Go ahead. The VA, yeah. 757. Boeing 757? Yeah, nice plane, right? Yeah, that's right. I can't really hear you. Can you talk a little? I agree with that. Well, I think they're stealing, but I agree with that.
Let's get to a question.
You saw my solution is very similar to that. Yeah. Yeah, we have a very big policy solution. Yeah. Right.
And then the next thing is, whoever your attorney general is, I nominate Ray Donovan. Instruct him to start a criminal investigation against the DA, keeping in mind
Wrap it up.
that there is no statute of limitations on homicide.
On fraud. Okay, I get it. And if you look at the VA in Phoenix, Arizona, it's one of the most corrupt enterprises you'll ever see. There's tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse in the VA, number one. But if you look at my plan, we're in the same neighborhood, let me tell you. We're going to take care of our veterans. You know, the veterans have given me tremendous support. Even the fact that I raised all this money for them, the veterans are giving me tremendous support. We are going to take care of our veterans. That's very important in my plan. All right, we'll do one or two more. One more.
One more question right here. Please, go ahead, man.
Yes. Right.
I know you're not going to cut it.
I'm not going to cut it. Okay. First time that's ever been asked. They were all happy. You know, they're all happy that I'm the only one that's going to save it. Everyone else is going to cut it. That's a very interesting. Look, here's what we're going to do. Thank you. We're going to save our Social Security. We're not doing cutting. We're not doing age differences and all of the things that the other people are talking about doing. We're going to make our country great. We're going to bring our jobs back. We're going to have a vibrant economy again. We're going to be able to afford it. But we're not, you've been paying into Social Security for a long time. And now all of a sudden they want to change it. Not going to happen, okay? It's not going to happen. The second part of your question I refuse to answer right now, okay? Because I don't want to be a Ted Cruz and lie.
Standing in the back.
But we're going to save it, and you'll be very happy.
Standing in the back. Last question.
What?
Keystone Pipeline.
Oh. I love the Keystone Pipeline, but we got to make a better deal. See, here's the difference. It's funny, these guys, these stupid people, they talk about eminent domain. Oh, did you hear that Bush today? He got eminent domain. He's got private eminent domain in his family all over the place. He says, you've practiced private eminent domain. Two major articles came out like an hour ago that Bush had eminent domain, and oh, it's terrible. His stadium, it's not his, he's not smart enough to do a stadium deal, but somebody in their group. But you know what? It just came out that eminent domain, he took land away from a veteran who was in serious trouble, disability, et cetera, et cetera. And he's talking to me about private eminent. That's what I mean about the politicians. Let me tell you, the Keystone Pipeline will be approved, but we get nothing out of it. If we're going to use eminent domain, and if you look at the Keystone Pipeline, these same people that say Donald Trump and eminent, you see the commercials, Donald Trump, eminent domain, everybody that talks about me, they want the Keystone Pipeline approved. A big part of the prospectus on the Keystone Pipeline is what is eminent domain. Because if you don't use eminent domain, you won't build not only roads, tunnels, bridges, everything. You're not going to build a pipeline. Because the thing has to go from Canada to Texas, where I mean, think of it. So you're not going to be able to build it. But here's the deal. So we're giving them the right to do this pipeline. And I like it because it's a lot of jobs and a lot of everything else, although it is taking Canadian, but it's still good. Okay, it goes back to the question about energy. But I want a piece of the deal for the country, okay? Give us a piece of the deal, like 25%. We're making it possible for this company to make a fortune, right? Now, only a business guy, I'm really good at business, believe me. You know, when I put my papers in, people said, man, he's much bigger than we thought, right? Everyone said he'll never file because maybe he's not as rich as they said. Then they said, man, he's got a great company. Okay, I built a great company. Very little debt, tremendous cash flow. Okay, here's the story. With it, that's the American dream, right? But there's a lot of American dreams. Plenty of American. I mean, if you're a great teacher, that's an American dream. If you're a great doctor, it's an American dream. A lot of American dreams. But and believe me, I say this because I have many wealthy friends. They're not happy. I have many friends that are in other professions, like teachers, like doctors, like policemen, like firemen, that they're very happy. So, you know, you tell me who's more successful. Keystone Pipeline. It's going to get approved, but we got to get a piece of the deal for the United States. So when they make all this profit that they're going to make, we get a piece of it. Does that make sense to somebody, right? Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody. This was a fantastic honor, and great people. I'm going to be here for a long time. We're not leaving. I'm staying in a Holiday Express and another Holiday Express, and that's good because I just want clean. If it's clean and has a decent bed, I'm happy. Okay. I just want clean. Clean is number one. And decent bed is a long distance number two, okay? But clean is number one. So I'll be here for 5 days, and I look forward to it. And I hope you can go out to vote. I hope you can tell all of your friends what dishonest people these politicians are, that they're liars. They're really liars, especially Ted Cruz. He's a absolute disgusting liar. And remember this, because I don't want to have an apology from some third-rate politician who got lucky to get elected in the first place saying, gee, on Sunday, right? On Sunday morning, Don, I'm sorry I misrepresented. I didn't know. Oh, you didn't know, you know, like you did with Ben Carson. So get out there, spread the word, spread the truth. We will make America great again.
You didn't, frankly, have the balls to put country before party.